Help me reach 7,000 subscribers. Please like the video and share your thoughts in the comments. Your feedback helps make the content better. She snorted when I suggested the park. Saturday, blue sky, the kind of day where a bench and a hot pretzel feel like a little vacation. I was tying my sneakers by the door, and she was flipping through photos on her phone, brunch plates, a rooftop view, smiling faces with sprayed-on lashes. The park. She looked up like I'd made a joke. That's sweet. But I'm not in high school, Nate. That's not really my level. I straightened, laces dangling. Your level? Babysitters, strollers, geese. She waved a hand. You know how this looks. I can't show up there in a blazer and pretend I'm impressed by a pond. I was thinking a walk. No audience required. She laughed again. You really don't get it. If I'd known what that laugh was going to cost, I would have saved the pretzel money and the next 6 weeks of patience. I put my keys back on the hook. All right, I said. Not the park. What's your level today? Brittany texted. They're doing a tasting downtown. We should go. But please, no awkward my husband doesn't drink speech. Just let me enjoy it. I'm driving, I reminded her. That's why they invented rideshares, she said, already walking to the mirror to check her lipstick. Also, change your shirt. If we run into people, I don't want you looking like you're coaching Little League. I looked down at a navy polo and clean jeans. Got it. I'll burn the suburbs out of my closet. Don't be dramatic. Something like a smile, but not for me. 5 minutes. I changed. I also made a note. First time she said it out loud, my level. There's always a first time. You can step over it and pretend it's nothing, or you can draw the line where it started. I didn't draw it yet. Not that day. We never made it to the tasting. Traffic turned the highway into a parking lot. She spent 20 minutes posting stories about the vibe, which, as far as I could tell, was the hood of our car and the brake lights ahead. When she finally dropped the phone, she said, we should talk about our summer plan. Which summer plan? The real one, not the camping thing you mentioned. That was cute. I like camping, and I like not sweating on purpose. She slid the visor down and looked at herself again. Brittany's group is doing a beach week. House on the water. Chef, driver, all that. We could go. It's the kind of environment that makes sense for us. For us. I rested my elbow on the door. What does that cost? Not your favorite number. What's my favorite number? Cheap. She kept her eyes on her reflection. I'm serious, Nate. I can't be the one who never shows up. People notice. It reflects on you too, you know. Does it? I said. If your wife looks like she's hustling while you pinch pennies, no one takes you seriously. I must have missed the board memo where beach houses became a KPI. You can be rude, she said. Or you can listen. We're not kids starting out anymore. You have a real job. Your company values you. Stop pretending we're scraping by. I'm not pretending. I'm managing. Right, she said. Managing my life smaller, so your ego stays bigger. We drove the rest in a quiet that wasn't quiet. She was done talking. I was done pretending this was about summer. It never is. It's about gravity. Who orbits whom? When we got home, she went straight to her phone. Laughter from the living room, not for me. I stood in the kitchen with my hands on the counter and looked at the calendar on the wall. Birthdays, a dentist appointment, my project deadlines, a beach week circled in her handwriting with a smiley face. Fine. If we were talking about level, I'd set mine. I printed 2 sheets and put them on the table. When she finally wandered in, I slid them across. What's this? New rules, I said. 2 budgets, not 1. You'll see the split. Joint account stays for household. Personal spending, yours and mine, comes from our own accounts. No more gray areas. No more last-minute surprises. Her eyebrows shot up. Excuse me. You want a house on the water, and I want a roof that doesn't leak. Both are reasonable. Only one is mandatory. I tapped the page. Numbers don't care about status updates. I'm not some teenager asking daddy for cash. Good, I said. Then you'll have no trouble standing on your own 2 feet. I'm not cutting you off. I'm being an adult. You're punishing me because I don't want to sit on a park bench. I'm adjusting, I said. When the environment changes, you adjust. You said your level changed. I heard you. She stared at the sheets. I can't believe you're doing this without talking to me. I'm talking now. We'll put the joint card on hold until we both agree to use it. We'll set weekly check-ins, 10 minutes max, for household planning. And this Saturday, I'm helping my buddy with his garage. You'll be fine without me at the tasting. She laughed once short. You think you can just decide things? I can decide my involvement, I said. That's all this is. You'll look ridiculous. Probably, I said. But I'll sleep. She grabbed her phone. I need air. Take all you need. She left with a slam. 2 minutes later, my phone buzzed. A screenshot from a group chat. One of her friends saying, "Tell him to stop being so local." Another chimed in, "Men need training." Then a message from her, "See what I deal with." I stared at my coffee. I didn't answer. People were watching, apparently. I'd give them something to watch. By Monday, I'd moved my direct deposit, canceled a couple of default autopays, and put the beach house request in the non-essential column. That night, she walked around the kitchen opening and closing cabinets like the noise would move my lines. "So this is it," she said. "Spreadsheet Nate. This is me being clear. It's cold. That's because it doesn't care if you're impressed. You're punishing me." "I'm protecting us," I said. "From scope creep." She rolled her eyes. "That language is unbearable. You liked it when the numbers got our mortgage approved. That was different." "It always is," I said. She went silent. 2 beats. Then, Brittany invited us to her rooftop on Thursday. Her husband's friends will be there. Good people to know. I told her we'll drop by. "I'm not doing the song and dance," I said, "but I'll come for an hour. No finance conversations. Just be yourself," she said. "That's exactly what I plan to do," I told her. Thursday, the rooftop was a catalog of status symbols, glass railings, a rented bartender, conversations that sounded like press releases. I recognized Brittany from photos, tall, polished, a voice that could cut a bagel without a knife. Her husband, Hunter, had the handshake of a guy who spends more time on introductions than follow-through. Finally, Brittany exclaimed, air kissing my wife. "We were just talking about your summer. Are you joining us at the beach, or are we going to have to kidnap you?" My wife tilted her head at me. "We're discussing logistics," she said. "You know how men are." Brittany smiled at me like I'd just been caught stealing office pens. "Logistics. Translate. He's nervous around nice things." "Don't worry," Hunter said, clapping my shoulder like we were old buddies. "We'll make a man out of you yet." I sipped my water. "I'm housebroken," I said. I fetched my own ice. A guy in a pastel shirt jumped in. "My wife had the same problem," he said to my wife. "She had to drag me up a level, kicking and screaming. You'll get him there." My wife laughed with them. "He means well. He just doesn't see the optics." "Optics," I repeated. Brittany leaned in. "If you two want access to certain rooms, you have to look like you belong in them. It's not rocket science." I set my glass down. "I'll pass on the rooms where a sandwich requires permission," I said. "Nate," my wife said, warning in her tone. I looked at her. "You said be myself. This is me." Brittany smiled too widely. "This is fun. He's earthy. Salt of the earth," Hunter added. "Salt isn't a personality," my wife said, and everyone laughed like it was rehearsal. "Quick thing," I said, my voice even. "Couple of boundaries. While we're here." I faced my wife, but didn't lower my volume. "No more jokes about me being cheap or small. Not in private, not in public. I don't play the clown. Second, finances are separated while we figure out what makes sense for both of us. I won't fund status projects. If you want them, you can run them out of your budget. Third, don't volunteer me for events. Ask. If I say yes, good. If I say no, it's final." The group went quiet like someone cut the music. Brittany recovered first. "Wow. Someone took a seminar." Hunter raised his palms. "Hey, live your truth." My wife's smile was tight. "We'll talk later." "No need," I told her. "It's set." She looked around, gauging who was with her. Brittany rescued her. "Why don't we do a group photo?" Brittany chirped. "You know, before the sun's gone." I stepped out of frame. "You guys look great," I said. "I'm good." "Come on, Nate," my wife said. Hard pass. I could feel the temperature drop. "Fine by me." On the way down the elevator, she didn't look at me. In the car, she said, "You humiliated me." "I stopped a routine," I answered. If it felt like humiliation, maybe the routine was ugly. "You could have told me in private." "I did." "You laughed. So I told you out loud, where the laughter had an audience." "You're petty." "I'm precise." She turned to the window. "You made me look like I'm married beneath me." "Careful," I said. "You're mixing feelings with facts." She went quiet. My phone buzzed again later that night. A message from Brittany. Not to overstep, but she deserves more. Think about your image. I deleted it. Friday morning, my wife brought me coffee in bed. Not a usual move. She perched on the edge, watching me taste it. Good. Hot, I said. I thought about what you said, she began. Maybe I got carried away. It just matters to me to be proud of us. Pride and price are not synonyms. I know. She tucked a strand of hair back. What if we did a smaller version? Not the beach house. Something local. A weekend at the lake. We could invite people. Show or not. I don't know. Behind. I studied her. Soft voice. Open palms. It would be easy to let that be enough. It had worked other times. Not now. We can do a weekend, I said. But not for optics. If we go, it's because we want to. And we keep it on our terms. No committees. No group votes. I'm not spending Saturday auditioning for friendships. Deal, she said quickly. I'll plan something simple. I'll be the judge of simple, I said. Send me options. And send me the bills before you hit purchase. Of course. She reached to touch my shoulder, then pulled back like she wasn't sure that was allowed. Thanks for hearing me. She left humming. 10 minutes later, an email landed in my inbox from a spa I'd never heard of. We're excited to host you for transformative weekend. Deposit received. I forwarded it to her with a single line. This your definition of simple? She replied. It was on hold. If we don't do it now, we'll lose the spot. I walked to her home office. She was in a headset, laughing with someone. When she saw me, she held up a finger. Wait. I leaned against the doorframe. She finished her call, took off the headset, and smiled like the coffee was still in the room. Before you start, I can cancel. Cancel, I said. Now. I will. But the deposit comes out of your account, I said. We're not subsidizing your panic. Panic. Panic that you'll look like you're losing, I said. She stared. I said I'd cancel. Do it, I said and walked out. 10 minutes later, she sent a screenshot showing the cancellation. Then a text, happy now? I didn't answer. I wasn't trying to be happy. I was trying to be clear. The next week was a friction drag. She cooled down. No snide comments. No your level talk. She was polite, almost gentle. She made dinner twice, which was 2 more times than last month. She asked about my project. She even sat on the couch with me one evening and watched a game without narrating it. Midweek, she said, let's try the park on Sunday. Before it gets crowded. I lifted an eyebrow. Your level dropped? Maybe I was being a brat. She smiled. You get to say I told you so once. Use it wisely. I didn't say it. We walked the park. It was fine. She told me Brittany's group was getting intense with their spending, and she was over it. She slipped her hand into mine like the old days. When a mom jogged by pushing a stroller, she didn't flinch. I let myself breathe for an hour. On the way home, she asked, you feel better? I feel like we can do normal things without a filter, I said. Good. She squeezed my hand. Because I need your help with something important. There it was. The other shoe. It always lands. What's the something? Kitchen remodel, she said, too casually. I had a consult. He's excellent. It's not cheap, but it would add so much value. Resale, pride, everything. How much is not cheap? She named a number that would feed a small town. No, I said. Just like that. Just like that. It's an investment. It's a costume, I said. For a life you think you need to prove. I shouldn't have asked you to walk in the park, she shot back. It confused you. You thought I was giving up standards. Standards and appetites are not the same. She folded her arms. You make me feel small when you say no. No does that to people who are used to yes, I said. It's not personal. She paced. I can contribute. From your budget, I said. I won't stop you. That's not partnership. Partnership is 2 people who respect each other enough to say no without punishment. She laughed sharp. You love lectures. I love balance, I said. And speaking of balance, tomorrow night I'm at the shop with Dave. We're finishing the shelving. Don't wait up. I planned dinner with Michelle and Jay. Enjoy, I said. I'll get takeout. She stopped pacing. They expect us. Then they'll be disappointed. You're being difficult on purpose. No, I said. I'm done auditioning. She shook her head and grabbed her phone. A minute later, a message pinged my screen from Michelle. We'll miss you tonight. We'll still talk kitchen with her. Maybe we can convince you later. I turned the phone face down. At the shop, Dave, gray beard, hands like sandpaper, handed me a drill. You look like you'd rather be holding a ticket out of town. I set a boundary, I told him. She didn't applaud. Nobody applauds a fence, he said. But it keeps the cows out. We worked. Halfway through, my wife texted, Michelle's guy can do it for less if we commit now. I put the phone back in my pocket. 20 minutes later, why aren't you answering? Another, everyone's saying you're being stubborn just to make a point. Then, we'll talk when you get home. When I got home, the lights were on like a stage. She was at the table with a spreadsheet that didn't look like mine. Sit, she said. I'm good standing. Fine. She tapped the paper. I found a way to make the remodel manageable. We can put it on the joint credit. If you shift your 401k contribution for a year, we can absorb it. No, don't answer like a robot. I answered like an adult. I said, we're not turning our kitchen into a billboard. You're impossible. I'm consistent, I said. She slammed the pen down. You know what? Michelle is right. This is a mindset problem. You like being small. It makes you feel safe. I like being solvent, I said. It makes me sleep. She stood. You are holding me back. And you are mistaking me for a ladder, I said. Her smile was humorless. I have options, Nate. I believe you. I could be with someone who understands value. Try being with someone who understands you, I said. That might actually help. She stepped closer. You're so sure of yourself. It's the one thing I own outright. She leaned in, eyes bright with a kind of energy I recognized from every time she won a social game. You know I can find a replacement in 5 minutes. I held her gaze. Of course, I said. Start looking. I'm done. The smirk died. Her eyes went wide, then dark. She wasn't prepared for flat acceptance. She'd brought a match to a place with sprinklers. What did you say? You heard me. I checked my watch. Hey, the clock's already running. You'll need time to pack. You won't find my replacement in my house. Move. You're joking, she said, but her voice had lost height. No, I said, already walking to the bedroom closet. I pulled the suitcase from the top shelf and set it on the bed. Favorites first. Shoes, toiletries, charger. I'll grab your coat. She followed me, then got ahead to stand between me and the dresser. You're being cruel. I'm being clear, I said. You crossed the only line that matters. You're overreacting. You threaten me with substitution, I said. I don't compete for my own life. That's not what I... It's exactly what you said. I cut in. There are a lot of things I can negotiate. Respect isn't one. She pointed toward the door. I pay for things here too. And you're taking yours, I said. I'm not throwing you out. I'm escorting arrogance to the curb. You're unbelievable. Pack, I said. She didn't move. I opened drawers and placed her clothes in neat stacks. She started talking again. Insults first, then history rewrites, then fresh insults. I didn't answer. I folded, zipped, carried. In the kitchen, I set her new favorite mugs on the counter for her to take. I unplugged her hairdryer, wrapped the cord, set it by the suitcase. She accused, I stacked. She sobbed. I rolled the luggage to the door. 2 hours later, everything of hers that wasn't permanently attached to the house was inside 2 suitcases and 3 bags. I opened the door. You won't do this, she said. I already did, I told her. You'll regret it. I don't do regret, I said. I do sleep. A neighbor from down the hall stepped out to take his trash. He froze at the sight of our doorway. Evening, I said. Hey, he mumbled, backing up like he'd walked into a scene he didn't want. She tried a new angle. If you push me out, we're done. I nodded. Yes. You won't find better. I'm not shopping, I said. I'm cleaning. You're not as strong as you think. Stronger than I used to be, I said. That's enough. She dragged the suitcases out. I watched her go down the hall. For a second, she turned back, expecting the old me to call after her. I didn't. She left. The elevator swallowed her anger, took it away floor by floor. I shut the door and leaned my palms on the cool wood. No speeches, no dramatic music. Just quiet. Real quiet. Next morning, I filed the paperwork. No drama. I told my boss I needed an hour midday. He nodded like he'd been waiting for me to grow a spine outside of spreadsheets. On day 2, she called. The first call, I answered. She was crying. You threw me out, she started. I removed myself from your game. I didn't mean it. You meant the power, I said. Not the words. It's the same result. We can fix it. We can end it clean, I said. That's the fix. So that's it. That's it. Second call, Later that afternoon, I was angry. I said something stupid. Everyone says things. Not everyone says that. I replied. You want me to beg? I want silence, I said and hung up. Third call, almost midnight. I can't sleep. I slept fine, I said. Take care of yourself. She started texting. Walls of texts. Photos of us at last winter's block party. A selfie in the park from 2 days earlier. A caption. Was that nothing to you? I blocked her number. She started emailing. I filtered her to a folder that sent her words to a quiet corner I wouldn't visit. Then she began showing up. Mornings, afternoons, once at work. At the shop, she walked in while Dave and I were cutting boards. Dave looked at me, then at her. I need to talk, she said. You need to respect the boundary, I replied. 5 minutes. You had years. Dave wiped his hands on a rag. I'll be in the back, he said, but he didn't move far. He hovered within earshot. Good. Witnesses are medicine. She lowered her voice. I'm embarrassed. Are you happy? No, I said. I'm calm. You made a mistake. I made a choice. You're throwing away a marriage because I said one thing. I'm ending a pattern that dressed itself as a joke, a standard, a goal. Call it what you want. I'm finished. She blinked. If we work on it. I already did, I said. Alone. She set her jaw. You'll change your mind. I won't. She turned to leave, then paused, another angle loading. I talked to Michelle, she said. She thinks you're punishing me because I outgrew you. And I think you're losing, and losers hire narrators, I said. Leave. She went. Dave came back in. You good, he asked. Better than last month. You want coffee? Yeah. That weekend, she tried sweetness. She came to the house with a pie, of all things, and a photo album I hadn't seen in years. She waited on the steps. I made this, she said, lifting the pie like a trophy. I know you like it. I like boundaries more, I answered. Please, she said. Just one conversation at the table. I opened the door enough to take the pie, then handed it back. Don't start a habit, I said. This isn't a foyer for negotiations. She stared at the pie. For a second, I almost took it, just to stop standing in the doorway like a scene from a bad show. Then I stepped back. This is on you, she said quietly. I know, I said. And I like the view. She bit her lip, half an old trick, half a real wound. I didn't move. She turned and went down the steps without looking back. She didn't stop. She texted through other numbers. I blocked them too. Once she came to my gym. I was on the rower, headphones in. She stood in front of me until I took them out. Enough, she said. You made your point. This isn't a point, I said. It's a policy. You're cruel, she said. Strong, I corrected. The manager glanced over. A few regulars watched. I raised my voice just enough. You need to leave. I've asked you not to come here. If you continue, I'll have to put it in writing with the front desk that you're not allowed to approach me while I'm here. She flushed. God, you're dramatic. I'm specific, I said, and slid the headphones back on. The manager came over and walked her away without a word. Eyes in the room went back to screens and mirrors. I finished my row. Weeks passed. Papers moved. She showed up less. Then not at all. Our mutuals tried to triangulate. Brittany posted something about outgrowing situations with a photo of ocean foam. Michelle messaged me a heart and a prayer hands emoji. I didn't respond. Dave and I finished the shelving. I slept. A month later, it was done. Not with fireworks. With signatures and a key drop. I put her set in a padded envelope and left it with the building manager. He nodded like he'd seen this movie before. You sure you don't want to keep the spare? He asked. I'm sure, I said. On the last day, I cleaned the house. The place looked bigger. Quieter. Mine. I took the calendar off the wall. No more smiley faces over other people's plans. The phone stayed silent like it had finally learned its job. By then, the stories had reached me the way they always do, through clicks and whispers. Someone said she'd gone back to her parents 2 hours away. Someone else said the beach house crowd had rotated without her. A third person said she was focusing on herself, which is a noble way of saying nothing panned out. I didn't check. I didn't need the play-by-play. Meanwhile, I lived. I replaced the dead porch light. I bought a used pickup with enough muscle to move lumber without begging favors. I stopped pretending I liked places that needed velvet ropes and began liking my own porch at sunset. I fixed the gate at Mrs. Latham's place next door because she'd been asking her nephew for months and he kept forgetting. I also met someone, not in a storybook way, in the aisle of the hardware store, arguing with a kid about screw sizes while we both held the same box. Her name is Claire. Nurse. Sharp mind. Laughs without checking who's watching. We ran into each other again 2 weeks later at a taco stand. This time I bought her dinner because I wanted to, not to prove anything. We talked like adults who've already paid for their mistakes. On our third date, I told her the short version. She didn't flinch. She asked one question. What did you learn? That attention is not the same as respect, I said, and that I can say no without blowing up the building. She nodded. Useful. We take it slow. No declarations. No deadlines. She sees me, the good parts and the rough countries. When she texts, it's not to score points. It's to say, want to walk. Sometimes we end up in the park. I bring pretzels. Every now and then, someone will mention my ex. She's back with her folks. She's doing some kind of reset. She looks great, but she seems tired. I nod. I don't fish. The story ended where it needed to end. If you want the last line, here it is. The night I packed her bags, after the elevator doors closed, I stood in our foyer and said one thing out loud to the empty place. Clock's still running. It wasn't about her anymore. It was about my time, my life. You don't get a refund for years spent in auditions. You just stop auditioning. You start living at your level, which is a simple thing, quiet, honest, and paid in full. I'm not chasing anything now. I keep my house clean. I show up to work on time. I sleep. Claire texts me, "You good?" And I answer, "Yeah." I keep my promises to myself. I look at my calendar and see my handwriting, not someone else's idea of who I should be. And if someone ever leans across a table again and says, "You know I can find a replacement in 5 minutes," I won't have to pack a thing. I'll stand up, leave the coffee hot, and let the clock do the talking. Watch till the end? Then my effort wasn't in vain. How about leaving a like and subscribe?